Welcome to Real Estate Success DFW, the podcast where top producing agents from Dallas-Fort Worth come together to share their stories and strategies behind their success. I'm Shaune Corbett, your host, and with over 300 million sold in the local real estate market and the honor of being best of D multiple times, I know what it takes to make it in this market. Each episode, we're going to dive into the world of real estate, learning from the very best in the industry. If you're ready to level up your game, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey everyone, Shaune Corbett here with Success in Real Estate DFW, and I am super excited. I've got Weston Davis with us. He works with JPAR, and he's got some specific things I want to kind of dive in and get you guys excited about selling real estate. It could be to veterans, heroes, and some of the special target options that he has, and we're going to kind of dive in a little bit on that. So, hey, Weston, how are you, man?
I'm good, Shaune. How are you? Thank you again for having me today.
Man, I am spectacular. I always tell everyone I'm above average. I think that adds a little bit more flair where everyone is normally just good. I would always be a little bit better than that. So how long have you been in real estate?
I just renewed my license, Shaune, at the end of September to start my 7th year in real estate.
Okay. What were you doing before it?
I've been in corporate America for probably 25. When I got out of the Navy in 1999, I started my own insurance and financial services business that I ran for about 6 years, and then sold that book and ended up going into corporate America for nearly 25 years or so.
Okay. What got you into real estate? Why did you get a license?
I think I was a part of the family that was the very first flipping family. My old man used to buy houses that weren't completely finished. We'd finish them out. We'd sell them. We'd move to the next location. I think I moved somewhere between 15 and 17 times before I graduated high school. I was at a different school from 2nd grade through the 9th grade every year. And so it just kind of was something that was in my blood without even realizing it was in my blood. And then when I made the decision to leave corporate America, I was looking for something that would keep me grounded at home. I had 2 boys at the house. I was tired of being gone 4 nights a week. I wanted to be involved in their activities, their sports. And I had a friend of mine at a workout group who was an agent. And I said, hey, I'm looking at getting my license. Would you be interested in bringing me on board? And she looked at me kind of quizzically and was like, we've never done that. It's always been our family. But let me talk to my mom and see. And that's how it was born. And I absolutely love real estate. I have a passion for helping the hero community. First-time homebuyers are probably also my favorite. I know some agents shy away from it, but I love the elation when someone gets to step across that threshold after having closed on their first property. It truly is a celebration.
Let me back up a little bit. So,
Sure.
I flipped about 100 homes here in Dallas-Fort Worth. Okay.
Wow.
And I've moved away from it. Now I do a little bit more education and I spend time working with investors and contractors, and I lend. I've got a couple million that I can lend out and help people flip. But what I wanted to kind of focus on is one of these general thoughts, and there are people that do it, and it's hard, but it's a really clever way of building net worth faster and getting into nicer homes faster. So you buy a home that you say finished building. It could be as simple as I buy a late 80 house, and then over a year, 2 years, we take care of the floors, we take care of the cosmetic, we add the value. Now we've got much higher value than when we bought it. We sell it, and then we make that transition again. You said you've done that 15 times while you were living at home, or quite a bit of times.
Yeah. So my dad, he's also an agent in just outside of Columbia, South Carolina. But this was years ago before he had a license. We would buy, either the model home of a neighborhood that was finishing out. And so it would have the sales office, and it would have kind of the mold for the stairs, but it wouldn't really have the upstairs. And so he would finish that out. Or we'd have one where the basement wasn't finished, and he'd finish the basement, or he'd put a sunroom or a pool or those kinds of things and really upgrade the value of them. And then we would move again. And so this was before television shows about flipping or wholesaling books and all this other stuff. I mean, we're talking, 35 years ago, maybe 40 years ago when I was a small child. So it was interesting to see how he was able to do that. And now he lives, in a probably $1 million home on the lake. He's got a separate apartment. So he's been able to upgrade all along as he's been able to do this. And I've watched him do it and have taken a couple of pages from his book.
So you can actually utilize that skill and ability with clients that you work with, right? So first-time home buyers, they're struggling moving from 2,000 rent, to $3,500 mortgage payment at 300 grand, right? Or 330, which is kind of your entry-level homes in a lot of spaces within the metropolitan area. Or they could get something late 200s and put a little bit of sweat equity into it, sell it for, let's say they put in 20,000 of material, 10,000 of their own labor. So just call it 20,000 material specifically. Now we can sell it for 40,000 more in a couple of years, which now gives them more buying power to buy something a little bit, better for their family and situation. My thinking is I always want to look at exit strategy when I'm working with clients, right? So if the exit strategy is we are not staying here more than 2 to 3 years, we just want to add some value and move, I don't care so much where they live as long as I know I can sell it. But if they're going to be a first-time home buyer, they don't want to move again, then we need to really consider location, schools, proximity to work, and things like that. I think there's a clever way of building some net worth with just a little bit of sweat equity. It can be hard on the family, though, moving all the time, right? I mean, it's a tough transitional thing for people to go through. I love the idea, and I've used it with a number of my clients that way.
I think it's a great advantage, especially when you're young, before you establish family and kids and truly plant roots. Because I'll tell you, as a kid of that scenario, it was tough being new guy every school year. You having to put on the front and make new friends and make new cliques and be involved in new things. And so, but it made it as an adult, I'm a great conversation starter. Let's get to know folks. I've never met a stranger. So it lends itself to real estate as well. Because again, we're in the relationship building business. And in order to make relationships with folks, you've got to not be afraid to have a conversation. And as a kid, it was always, hey, what's your name? My name's Wes. I'm new to, whatever. And so I just take that and parlay it into a little more mature conversation. But really, it's all about trying to make those connections and making new friends. And so you said that a minute ago, that was really interesting. I just signed a new buyer client. I got the paperwork overnight last night. It's a young couple. He's a Dallas police officer wanting to buy his first home. And he understands, he and his wife came and we did our consultation. And he understood that, hey, I understand this isn't my forever spot. I mean, this is my first budget. This is my first time buying a house. But what I want to do is be able to take that, earn some equity in it, have it appreciate some, and then take that and parlay it into my next home and then my next one. And so by the time we have children, we're in the home we want, in the school district we want, in the neighborhood we want. And so that was really, it was fun for me to see, because I don't normally see first-time home buyers being that educated or that future-minded. So it was really exciting.
Yeah, and they're realistic. I like it.
Yeah.
Most people have kind of a pipe dream about how all this works. And I'll tell you, most are disenfranchised, right? First-time home buyers are pretty disenfranchised. They don't think they can buy a home. I just had one that my wife's a teacher. She referred me to one of her teachers, late 20s, never even really, she wants a home, but she didn't think it was possible. So my wife said, just talk to Shaune. So I talked to her, and I think within about 3 days, we had her approved and buying a new build. And she's actually already closed and moved in last weekend. So It's amazing when you could put together an opportunity that can satisfy something they never thought they could happen. Let me say something real kind of strange and interesting. So the generation we just had, I would say from 25 to 35, most of them were not buying homes. Most of them, you and I have been selling real estate long enough, and we know what first-time home buyers were like at one point. And then we had this gap in time that they would rather pay rent. They would rather not get married. They'd rather not have kids. They would rather have a dog than a kid. And they kind of have postponed a lot of these things, for different reasons. Maybe they just came from broken households. They didn't want to go through that. They want to make sure everything was done perfect before they got married, which we can't do. Nobody could do that. You just kind of have to deal with the rough spots or together. But that's been a real change. So the current generation coming up, I have several clients that are brand new, and they're buying homes right away. Like, they're not waiting until their 30s, they're not waiting until to get married or have kids and all that stuff. They're doing it now. So I personally think that's a better way because there's just not a lot of life that we got, right? Let's dive in and start having kids and build family because that's what we're doing. We're creating home environments and opportunities for people to grow a family. Talk to me about the hero thing because I want to understand, as you say that's really a target market for you. You were military, you understand military, you worked with people in the military. Why is that a specific target market for you? And how do you really add value to people either through heroes or whatever program you're working through? Talk to me a little bit about that.
So I would say it was probably 3 years ago, I was introduced to a program called Homes for Heroes. And I got a call and was talking, and it was about giving back out of our compensation to those that are truly heroes that often don't get paid to do the things that we ask them to do. Your wife's a teacher. She's a hero. She spends time all day with other people's kids. I learned during the pandemic, I am not a teacher. So I try to give back to where I can. In the 3 years of this program, I've been able to donate a portion of my commission, close to $65,000 back to the hero community. So the value I bring is a portion of each of their home sales, whether buying or selling, comes out of my compensation. And it goes directly back to the hero. And it's just a simple one-pager saying that they've chosen West Davis. I brand my business as Weston the Veteran. I think it rhymes. It's kind of catchy. But we give back to those heroes as a thank you. And it's not enough to take a worldwide vacation, but maybe it's enough to buy a new couch, a new refrigerator, maybe take a little weekender to the casino or something like that. But it's enough to say, you know what, you're valued, you matter. Thank you for being a teacher. Thank you for being a police officer. Thank you for your service in the military, whether you're active duty currently or you're a veteran. And it's just a small way for me to say, we appreciate you don't get compensated enough. It's a small thing that I can do. And then I try to partner with lenders and title companies that also participate in the program so that they can do things like a free appraisal or a discount on a closing cost or a home warranty. Typically it's a collaboration, and it just shows the smile that you see on the hero's face. It does way more than the money does, far more than the money does. And it's just when I found out about that program, it just was a no-brainer for me. And I just use it as a marketing tool to others to say, hey, have you thought about this? This is what separates me. You could hire any realtor that you would like, but here's what differentiates me. Not only am I committed to excellence and communication and those things, but oh, by the way, I'll be donating part of my commission back to you.
I like the holistic approach where it's not just you as the agent. You can really find in multiple channels to all buy in and give to the community to help them, right? So it's not, and your contribution is incredible, right? Making, donating part of your commission back to their closing or, however you work that out. But even, having title and lender, I mean, it can really multiply the amount of total contribution that everybody's putting a little bit in to help them do something they may not be able to do without, which is a really big incentive. Do you have an inspector that offers some type of veteran type benefit?
I do. They don't do a free inspection, but they do give a discount on the inspection. And he's also a veteran as well. I tend to give out 3 different ones, but each of them will do specifically to the veteran community. Some will also do to the hero community, but I'm always adding to my vendor list, looking for those opportunities. So when I walk in and I represent not only myself, but my team, when I'm talking to a prospective buyer or seller, it's not just Weston the Veteran, it's me and my team. And here's what we're bringing to the table for you. And what I have found is that typically when you ask, ask not, have not, right? You only have it because you asked for it. And so typically people will be willing to contribute something, especially when they hear what I'm doing on my behalf. Yeah. Sometimes it's a match, sometimes it's, a little bit less, but it's always willing to put the hero ahead of themselves and whatever widget or product or service that they're providing. And I think that's where the impact hits.
Do the heroes, I assume a lot of them come from referrals, but do they also come from, are you like part of some type of network group or a program and they send you lead opportunities and the opportunities they send you, your commitment is, I'm going to give them X amount as a part of the agreement to make sure we service them. Is that kind of the high level?
It is. And so it's a national organization so it's a referral program. So it's a 30% referral program where typically 25% of it goes to the hero itself.
Nice.
And that 5% goes to the national organization. It's a not-for-profit. And then they donate and give to other not-for-profit organizations throughout the nation. And so they have a metrics and a dashboard that shows all the dollars and support that they've given to all types of communities, whether it's the healthcare community, the teaching community, the Fraternal Order of Police, or the firefighters, or first responders, all of those different organizations. And so as a part of that, they've allowed the opportunity to use their network and their marketing materials to then disseminate out. And then it's not really a lead generation, but there are ways that heroes get connected through that. And then we have a warm handoff on some of it's a cold connection. But 2 of the opportunities I'm currently working were from the program itself. And then what happens is my wife is also a veteran and a professor at UTA, University of Texas at Arlington. And so she's also in criminal. This is a CRCJ week, Criminal Justice Week. And so today she's cooking with cops. And so it just happens to be, my husband's a hero realtor. So if you're in the market, those kinds of things. So I've been able to get introductions through her position and connections with different agencies here in Arlington. And that's really been able to make an impact as well. And so it's an opportunity for us to not only be involved in our community, but give back to our community as well. And so that's really been helpful.
So you're Arlington, is that where you guys live?
We live in Arlington,
okay.
But I work all across the Metroplex.
Well, heroes are everywhere, right? They can
Yep.
buy anywhere in Dallas-Fort Worth,
right.
for sure. So
Yep.
What do you think your mix of clientele would be? So you've got heroes coming in. What do you have for referrals? Do you have a percentage that you would think as a total percentage of your total?
So
closings?
year to date this year, I would say it's around 40% are word of mouth and referrals. And the other from the hero community has probably been 60% from the program. And I'd say probably 50% from the program, and then self-generated, probably another 10% on my own. But it's not just heroes that I serve. I'll do business with anyone, right? But it's just the opportunity that you have to be able to do that. And I take it back. What I love about the program is it's not so hard and fast that you must fit in this box. They allow the opportunity for me to kind of have some levity with it and say, oh, okay, Shaune, so it's not you specific, it's your wife, or, you work at the school, but you're not a teacher. So I open it up as much as I can and paint with a broad brush. And so one of the folks that I've got right now that's going to be a listing opportunity before the end of the year, her mother is a retired nurse. And so, of course, I'm extending that opportunity to her and her family as they adjust from the mom living in the home and going to an assisted living facility. So
you're not running through the hero program, but you still want to do something to help a non-hero program.
If
use
I can.
the same vendors, use the same network, be a part of that program, and you even give them some type of rebate or something to help. Man, that's generous. I love it. That's fantastic. So you've got roughly about 5 to 10%. You say cold leads. What's your system of trying to generate cold lead opportunities?
So I've done pop buys so in my local community, we've got a training center for the Arlington Police Department. I've actually gone through their Citizen Police Academy as a way not only to know more about what they do, but so that they know my face. And it's not just it's some random realtor trying to wedge his way in. I've done pop buys at the fire station. I've done tents and booths at Teacher Appreciation Week. I held a happy hour for the teachers at the local high school, the middle school, and 3 of the elementary schools, and just said, hey, when you're done with the day, come by. And it's just really trying to capture that information and say, hey, you've earned a cocktail. Here's your free drink ticket on me, no strings attached, but I'd love to have a chat with you and tell you what my program's all about. And that's really, you have to get past the selling side of it. That's not why I'm there. I'm there as a connection and a community outreach is really not the right word, but a community provider that say, hey, look, I'm another resource that if given the opportunity to help you either buy or sell real estate, as a thank you for what you do, I'd like to give back part of my commission on that. And that's really it. It's not really a hard sell. It's really just, by the way, this is what I do as a service. If you're interested in buying and selling real estate, I'd love it if you'd use me, because this way you get something out of it as well.
So one of the benefits of building you say referrals about 40%. So the objective is to grow our sphere of influence to the point where that 40 grows to, 80, 90, 100%, right?
Love that.
We all want to be on a referral-based business because you don't have to sell anything at that point. Now it's just, short conversations of what's your motivation, and then you step in and take care of. That's the goal for all of us. And I think doing things like joining clubs and being connected with community type events and stuff is a really good way to start building an effective library of, I call them secondary contacts. So primary contact would be someone that you know by first name, they know you by first name. Secondary means I'm on my son's soccer team and I know all the parents' first names, but they don't really know each other, right? It would be a little awkward for me to send them an email, unsolicited and give them real estate advice. So the secondary would be in that kind of space where you're top of mind in the sense that they've seen you, they know you sell real estate. That's all you want to deliver. You don't want to make it any more difficult or complicated or inundated with that. So that group, how do you do you have a way of staying in front of that kind of secondary group where you go to the meetings, you go beyond just that? Do you have other touch systems with them?
We do. So I use KB Core as my CRM, and then I use Corefax as a communication tool for postcards and things like that. I do home evaluations once a year as a free service. And then it's just mainly, we have quarterly events. We have another event called Carry the Load that we participate in, which is a veterans event. So the VA system has a kind of their top tier administration actually in the building that my JPAR office is in over on Lamar. And we hosted a breakfast for all of it's called a VISN, but it's for the VA administrators. And so we did that as well. It's just really any opportunity that we can say to the community, hey, by the way, take a look at us. This is what we do. Here's the service that we provide. We've got the tables. We've got the tents. We've got the postcard system. We've got the quarterly events that we do. And we've found that those are generating more buzz post-pandemic. Folks are starting to come out of their shell again, and we're seeing more rise with that. We'd love to get to where we're doing them once a month. But right now, with the bandwidth with our team, we're really doing well with once a quarter. So
your whole strategy has been riches in the niches, right?
Right.
We've got a niche. And certainly, just like most agents, you can sell outside of heroes. But if you can just really isolated focus, you almost don't ever have to. And it's not that you wouldn't, but the objective is to stay real comfortable in your wheelhouse. In your conversations, you're going to talk their language. You're going to understand them. You're going to say things they're going to relate to. You're going to know where they're coming from in this process and what they have to go through. And that's where that building that credibility with you makes it a lot easier. I think it's a really good, if you could just do that and then even refer out the other ones to non-heroes, you might actually double or triple your business in the next 2 to 3 years if you can just isolate, just that particular specialty. You and I aren't far apart, okay? I mean, my closing average is probably about 385 to 400. I'm on the middle. In fact, I don't even cross middle very much. I've rarely sold homes over $1 million. For some reason, my market seems to be a lot of them are first-time home buyers. A lot of them are downsized into that 350 to 400. I get a lot. That's just really where my average ticket's probably about 385, really.
Yep. Mine's just a tick below that. Yeah, I'm just below that. I'm right at 372 and a half, give or take.
And just like you, I could sell $1 million home, but for some reason, I don't click or connect as well with them. I like someone that's going to allow me to lead them through it, not tell me how I'm going to do my job, right? It's really frustrating when you get people with big egos. They start telling you this is how I'm going to sell this. I'm like, you sell one house every 10 years. I sell 100 a year. I mean, you're really going to tell? But it gets a little frustrating. So I appreciate people that are willing to take my advice and follow directions and not have to challenge every single thing that we do.
Oh, exactly. Well, and it gives you an opportunity to educate. I mean, our job is to educate and facilitate. And buying the first home, I bought my first home at 21. I used the VA loan, but I didn't have help from my parents. I did the whole process on my own. And as I think back, I mean, that was a long, long time ago. But as I think back, it was kind of the agent and the lender helped me through that process as a young kid. So when I talked to like the couple I just met, Alfonso and his wife, they're a young couple, early 20s. He's got his first job as a police officer. He's looking at me to go, hey, Wes, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm relying on you to help guide me to do this. And that's a huge responsibility. At the end of the day, yes, the compensation, I need that for my family and those kinds of things. But it began to become not the focus of what my job was or my passion was. The money will come if you're doing the right things, right? That's why I like giving it back. That's why I like doing what I do, because I think the ball will bounce in my favor by doing that. And by focusing on that, I won't say lower price point, but I guess it is in the general scheme. But those are the people that need the help the most. They're the ones that can't really do it on their own. They're not the ones that are going to have the flashy, titles and the egos and those kinds of things. They're going to want that help and that guidance. And I think I resonate with that person more often than I do with the higher end. And I'm okay with that.
Hey, I'm right there with you. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't have to sell the big ones.
No.
How do you effectively manage your time and resources? You got family, you've got kids. This is something that real estate agents, I think, struggle because we almost become at the mercy of whatever clients tell us they want us to do. So then how do you manage, personal life with those? Because you got out of corporate because it was already infringing on your personal life and you didn't have the freedom. And I know a lot of people get into real estate thinking, wow, I'm my own boss. I can do whatever I want, work whenever I want. And if you want to make money, you're going to have to acquiesce to what clients want at some point. What are your thoughts on some of that?
So that's a great question. And I tell you that I've struggled with it over the last six years. And I've tried time blocking. I've tried saying, oh, you want to go right now? Of course I'm a realtor. I'll show you right now. But then I looked at it too and I went, well, wait a second, Wes. This is my business. This is when you take it and go, hang on a second. I understand you want to see it right now, but I'm in the middle of doing something else. And here's what will happen. I'm showing today between 3 and 6 and Wednesdays between 2 and 5, Saturdays between 1 and 6, Sundays after, 1. And when you put it in those time blocks and say, here's when I'm committed, but you adhere to it, number one, and then you have to show in all other areas that when I say that I'm going to do it, I'm returning phone calls after 10 a.m. I'm sending emails after 3 p.m. When you put it in those blocks and you show folks that you're committed to that, I think that they understand that, yes, I'm a human too, and I can't just drop what I'm doing and go do it for you, because I would hope that you understand that I give you the focus that you're my number one point of contact, but you're not the only point of my business. I still have other folks that I have to give my time to. And when you treat folks, with respect and honor their time and their commitments and show that you have respect for your own time and commitment, I think it's shown them that we understand that, and they're not just barking at me to go, in 30 minutes, let's meet at, 123 ABC Street. They're saying, hey, let's put together a plan. Here's what we want to see. Here's when we want to see it. And we actually do. I still use MapQuest to map my route so that I can effectively take the time that we need to do what we want to do in the allotted time that I gave them. And so time blocking really helped a lot, but it took coaching to sit me down and say, hey, your time is valuable, Wes. You can't just be willy-nilly all over the place. You really need to do these certain things at certain points of the day. And when I did that, I still saw the same amount of clients. My business actually went up a little bit, and my sanity returned, and I made my family a priority. We just had our oldest son start college, and so things are a little bit easier in the evening. But I got that precious time for the last 6 years of evening times, most nights, not every night, but most night, way more than I was in corporate. And it was time that I wouldn't trade for any money in the world. So, yep.
For sure. Yeah. And giving clients boundaries gives respect back to you. To
I think so.
it establishes, kind of the way we're going to process. I always give this general thought is we're not going to lose a house because of me. And whenever they let go of that, then it's easier to manage it.
I like
And
that. I like the way you
let's
said
say
it.
it's a hot house, right? They got to go look at it in an hour.
Yep.
I'm gonna have a conversation with the listing agent. If it's not possible for us to do it, then I'm gonna get the listing agent to hold it for us so we can go at a time that works better for all of us. And I've done this a number of times. I don't lose houses because of my inability, or I'm fortunate. I've got about 20 agents. I can get one of them to do it. But if I don't have that, there are ways you could have conversations to kind of manage that process. And if you're not going to lose a house because of the agent, then don't stress because we don't go look at it in an hour.
Yep.
Right. That's what I want them to kind of absorb and appreciate. How do you leverage technology and digital marketing? Do you do a lot of social media and things like that?
Yeah, so I try. I just turned 50 this year, and I try. Although I don't feel 50, I used to be on top of technology when I was in the Navy and got out, and cell phones were new, and I was absorbing it. And man, I blinked, and AI and all this other stuff, and video and TikTok and Instagram. And I'll tell you, I try. I do the best I can. I went through a boot camp of about 9 or 10 weeks a few months back on digital marketing, actual, passive prospecting, and being able to put on, digital videos and those kinds of things. And it was great. The challenge I have is the consistency of it. So we've started to do in our time blocking, setting aside a time of, okay, here's when we're going to put out our content. And I've got the green screen, and I've got the big lights, and I've got the tripods and all that kind of stuff. And we hammer out content, and then we spend time, getting the edits done and then posting and trying to be more consistent with that. But I'll tell you, it's something that's necessary, but should be farmed out because trying to do it and manage it on your own is really difficult. So the easy answer is I try.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's ways to economize it. I really am big on being efficient and finding ways that we make the most money per hour. And I do have VAs and I have an assistant. So I'm able to do and sell a lot more houses with a lot less of the hands-on things. As far as social media, I've created a lot of YouTube content, but the content, just be organic, right? Just be who you are and talk their language and speak in plain real estate terms and talk in crayon and just be, simple.
Right.
And it really kind of connects and works with them. And you just got to do it consistently. There doesn't have to be anything flashy. Weston, I don't see you being a flashy guy. So, doing all the extra things portrays something that may be not organic to you, right?
Correct.
Doing things that really come from you naturally is going to make that impact. And we're not trying to sell to the masses. We're trying to connect with our audience. Riches are in the niches. I always try to find ways to outsource things that don't directly need my involvement. You create the raw video, you throw it over to, the VA or some type of team that does that and let them kind of post consistently. I think Instagram is probably the best place to go for real estate. If they did nothing else, LinkedIn's not going to work. Ideal Estate, I'm on a number of them, but a lot of those spaces aren't. Facebook business page isn't going to work. You need to at least have a Google business page. You need a minimum have a Google business page. And then if you could do an Instagram tech connected to your regular Facebook page, that's probably your real easy, clean audience. And you just post some fun videos. Do, 30% real estate, 70%, here's my daughter doing something goofy. And that really resonates with people. Right. I'll tell you the high level thinking on some of this. Every 100 people that know you by first name, if you can touch them 40 times a year, you're going to get 7 referrals. Okay. Weston, you're a likable guy. I know you have a very big personal network of people that just know you and they know you by first name. I would think you could easily come up with 300 to 400. At 400, that's 28 closings a year. If you stayed in front of them, 40 touches a year, right? That's either a simple text, how are you doing? Set them up in KV Core. I have KV Core. It has newsletter options. Send every one of them in the first name group. Send them a newsletter. Tell them, hey, I know you're hearing about interest rates. It's crazy right now. Here's how it's really impacting real estate. Just something that's relevant and good to them. And then you can send out your values on property, right? You're going to do that anyway. Well, that's another couple touches. All this your referral is going to really explode. It's going to go from 5 to 10 a year. You should easily be at 28 plus a year in referrals. And then we don't have to wait for cold leads.
Right.
That's the opportunity, right? That's how we're really going to multiply our business. I love all that. Everything you're doing is perfect. I love how most agents are not near as niched as you are. They'll just take anything. And it's a real tendency we all want to do. I don't want to say no to anybody.
Yeah, I've had conversations. Maybe it's just age or whatever, but I've had conversations with agents in the office and they're willing to go and run and do. And I said, you have the ability to fire your prospect. If it's not worth your time, energy, and effort, it's okay to say no. Oh. You don't have to do it just for the opportunity to get compensated. I said, because what you end up doing is speaking with commission breath, and they see the desperation anyway. And now they've got you by the horns and they're just guiding you where to go. When you're the professional and really the authority and the expert, you should be guiding them and leading them down the path, not the other way around. And so, I don't say that to be arrogant or rude. It's okay to turn down the opportunity sometimes.
You'll end up losing. Yeah. Sometimes you'll end up losing more.
Of course.
Working with them and either personal energy. It's not always easy to have lots of energy for every cold opportunity that comes in, and you want to make sure you're ready to go.
That's right.
And they're sucking all that energy out of you. You may not be taking those calls because you're just tired.
Right.
I just had one 2 weeks ago. Is that she has a 280-acre farm and she wanted 1.9 for it. But in my conversations with her, I wasn't comfortable with her. She was just kind of in an angry position. She had to get out. She was mad. And I just told her, I said, hey, I'm not the right agent for you. I want to make sure when we leave, we're on good terms. And I don't think I'm going to get us there because I'm either going to have to get really mean with you to be realistic, right, or, one way or another, it's not going to end well. And I don't think it's good for either of us. So she ended up calling me back 10 minutes after I fired her. And she said, no, let's do this. And then we worked out a plan that would really work. But it does happen sometimes where it's just not worth the stress. Let me ask you one last one. And then if you have anything else you want to add, what do you think it takes to break in? There's one thing to get into the top 20%, which very few agents are in those categories, I feel like these days, especially in Dallas-Fort Worth. What do you think it takes to break into the 1% market? 1% to me in Dallas-Fort Worth is probably around, let's say 40, 50 closings a year is probably about where that point starts tipping. And then that's where you're going to start seeing the main agents that are selling a lot of real estate. I'd say probably around 50 a year. What do you think it takes to break into that?
I would say it takes discipline, the freedom's in the discipline, sticking to your plan, whether that's a prospecting plan, knowing your numbers, your contacts, your leads, your appointments, really getting it to a dialed down methodology. One thing that I know that I've been guilty of, and I've seen it throughout my sales career, is, we get one on the line and we forget to put other lines in the water and we focus on boating that one fish. And so to stay consistent, to continue to work your niche, know your prospect or client avatar, speak the message to that particular entity, that avatar, and just stay with your message. I think staying genuine, and if outsourcing having your systems and processes, but being able to outsource things that are keeping you busy, Shaune, but that aren't making you money. And that way, like you said earlier, you can farm those things out and you can focus on more transactions and helping more people buy and sell real estate. I tend to get caught up in those minutiae, thinking, oh, let me at least learn how to do it, and then I can farm it, instead of just going, let's farm it, and that's what their role is. Let's trust them because that's what they're the expert in. I'm the expert in this, and let me go and do this. And I think that's what's going to catapult anyone to that top 1%.
Yeah. So sometimes we get those dead spaces, right, in real estate, and especially in Dallas-Fort Worth or even Texas in general, where you have gaps in time where people just aren't buying and selling.
Right.
So keeping that database and the pipeline full of opportunities is really important. I heard one person use an analogy: corporations can't survive just in customer service. You got to have some advertising and marketing to continue to build in more. So right now, I've got a pretty heavy story or system right now. I've got about 12 houses under contract today, and it will prevent me, because I get kind of focused on those, of keeping the other 20 or 30 maybes moving into now we're ready space, right? Because I call I don't do a lot of, I'll text for how are you doing, but I want you on the phone. I do the same thing in my real estate transactions. If you and I do a real estate transaction, I don't negotiate by text. I don't
No, I don't
negotiate by email. I don't mind setting up final terms, but you and I are going to have a conversation and we're going to work this out. What I want, and it's not even just win. I want everybody to feel good about where we're going, right? I want buyer satisfaction. I want seller feeling like the net's going to work and we're going to move forward with it. And that's really important to me, but we do that by having conversations. And I do have a lot of agents that want to just text me things and I won't respond back on negotiation. I said, hey, you need to call me. I'm going to misconstrue what you're saying.
Right.
And we're not going to be able to get the message clearly. And we're all going to be mad by the time we're done. That's not how we do this.
No.
So, well, very good. You have any last minute things that, have just been really important to you in real estate, or any last minute things you want to share?
No, it's what I love about real estate is everyone needs a house. Everyone needs a place to live. And so when you're having a conversation, it doesn't mean that everyone can afford a place to live. And, folks are really focused on interest rates and the election this year and all these kinds of things. But if you just take a breath, understand that no matter what, the market's going to fluctuate. If you're having conversations with someone like, it sounds like yourself and like with me, that truly has your best interest at heart, we're not here just for the commission and the compensation. We're here to help you get the home that you're looking for that you can afford, right? And so I think if we're continuing to have that message of speaking about education and affordability and truly being here as an advocate for the consumer, I think that's what it's going to catapult us ahead of everyone else, especially in this post NAR and August 17th world where folks aren't sure of things. Educating ourselves, being ahead of the curve, and letting the consumer know that we're here for them and their behalf and not just here for a paycheck, I think is really what's going to make a difference.
Yeah, I always try to treat the customer that I want them to call me back, right? After the deal is done, I want them to call me back. And I want referrals. That's how I build my business. I don't want to pay for leads. I don't want cold leads. I want referrals. So that's really good advice. Awesome, Weston. How do we connect better with you? I know social media is still something you're just learning all about. We got Instagram today. You're learning about it. No, I'm just kidding. So how do we best connect with you? Is it email, phone? What do you have?
Yeah, so I'm across social media. I'm Weston the Veteran. So Instagram, it's Instagram at Weston the Veteran. Facebook, same thing. TikTok, I think I'm either Weston the Veteran or USN 19 or 93. But you can find me at westontheveteran.com as well. I'm located here in the Arlington area, but I'm all over the Metroplex. Our office is at 2300 East Lamar in Arlington. And my dog Sailor is saying hello as well. But yeah, so it's easiest at westontheveteran.com or westontheveteran@gmail.com. And you can reach me by those platforms and social, as well as my telephone number. I don't know if you want to give those out.
Go ahead. Give it.
682-265-7992. I'm always here as a resource, and I'd love to help you or your clients however I can.
I love it, Weston. Thank you for jumping on with me. I know obviously
you love
heroes. You love heroes and you love dogs. I hear that. That's fantastic. Thank you guys for joining us this time. We hope that it helped you in your business and that you're able to successfully grow. And if you want to get into veterans and understanding that, Weston's an open book. He'll share, tips and things that's made it really work well for him. Until next time, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaune.
That wraps up another episode of Real Estate Success DFW. I hope you're leaving with new insights that push your real estate career forward. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with fellow agents who's ready to succeed. And if you're interested in working together or have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me directly. My personal phone is 214-228-0383. Let's connect and make real estate success happen together. Until next time, keep pushing forward. I'm Shaune Corbett, and this is the Real Estate Success DFW. Have a high performance week.